Fashion of Ancient Rome, and I am Matthew Harper. Fashion is more than just clothes and garments. It's a visible way of expressing yourself. It's also a way to define a person's social status, whether you be of royal nobility or middle class or poor. It's a form of art and beauty, and it's also a way to define the era. Fabrics. Fabrics that were used in this time period included silk, cotton, and wool. Silk was the most expensive and 99% of the time was imported from faraway lands, and which was only done by the wealthy people. Cotton was the second one, and cotton sometimes was mixed with wool, but for the most part, cotton showed that you were in the middle class. Wool was the cheapest, which was mostly worn by peasants or people of low ranking in the social status. Styles. The styles also varied among social classes. Social classes of higher order would wear more extravagant gowns with extravagant trimmings and designs and vibrant colors, and those of lower would be very dull grays and stuff like that. The fabrics were often draped different based on your social class. Those of rich nobility had more fabric added to theirs, and those of poor would sometimes only be using 2 garments at a time, and that was due to lack of money to buy the fabric. Also, those who had more money also owned more than enough garments to wear and interchange. The meaning of clothing. Different styles were worn for different events and occasions. For example, a person who was wealthy, for their wedding, a lady would wear a white toga with gold trimming around it, versus a lady who was poor, hers would just be a solid dull white, not even a pure white. Kings at certain events would often wear red, a dark red like which would represent his royalty, or a deep purple, which is another color that represents royalty. And sometimes it would also often carry like gold trimming around the sewn stitches. Importation of fabrics was more than just having clothing shipped to them or picked up or brought, but it represented wealth, it represented fortune and good living. People would often just have fabrics imported just to say that they did and could and can. It was also a way to show power and a visible barrier between the rich and the poor. So in conclusion, the fashion in Rome will forever remain prominent and be recreated over and over because fashion is always recycled. We can see Rome fashion in today's world, the way some of the dresses are draped, the styling, the trimming of the gold and the white, the color schemes, the hues of the blue and the purple, and stuff like that. I think Roman fashion will always forever have an influence because fashion is always recycled and reused over and over again, and that's just a part of fashion.